Woo. Okay. Hi, chat room. Woo. Woo. Okay. Look how fucking. Hi, chat room. Hi, chat room. Woo. Okay. Look how fucking. Okay. Look how fucking. Hi, chat room. Hi, chat room.
It's us. The transition worked.
Woohoo! Yes, there we go. Hopefully you have sound. Hopefully you can see us. Sound went a bit. Yeah, sorry. I pulled up 2 streams and they weren't muted. They are now muted. I've pulled up extra things. Are you still hearing echo? Hopefully not. The rest of you can all talk now. I know I told you to talk for a second. Sorry. Okay, we are now live for the pre-show. Hooray! This is the pre-show where Raven tries to get to grips with some fucking technical shit.
I am in awe of your all the technicals that you have done for us.
God. This has been one hell of a fucking week. Yeah, hi. Yeah, sorry. The echo was my fault because I've got 2 I have 2 Twitch channels open, which I didn't need to do. Anyway, hey, how is everyone? Welcome to the Warcraft Radio Twitch channel, our chat room. Nice to see you.
Can I just say props to the masters that created this new overlay and everything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty freaking great.
Yeah, this is like totally for Pride. Oh, my stream, my little
Pride is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. My text has vanished. Where did my text go?
Oh, it was
my
there.
Text has vanished. News. Oh man. I didn't line this. I hadn't finished with this overlay. Hang on. This is a little bit how the sausage is made. Sorry. Totally professional. Totally know what I'm doing. I've got no fucking
It is all a learning process.
Yeah.
You're doing more with your stream right now than I've ever attempted to do with a live stream on AMI channels. So it's props.
God.
It'll be fine.
No, this is not doing what it needs to do. You know what? We're just gonna have to live without this week. Yeah, take that off there for the moment. Because it won't copy through neatly from the other thing, and I can't do it live. Oh my god! Sorry. There should be like scrolling text, people. There should be scrolling text. Just imagine there's scrolling text. Sorry, Ath. I'll get it sorted for next week. Sorry, boss.
We are always professional, Banian. Thank you.
Oh my god. I mean, look at this look at this, and look at Ro sitting here like you're looking like a news presenter. You've got like all your green screen and your logos and
smoke and mirrors here. I don't have an official green screen behind me. This is literally what's going on right now. To the back of me is the back of an empty closet. I took light green poster board, made a budget green screen by taping light green poster board along the back of my closet. So yes, I'm literally in my closet right now. And did chroma key and stuff like that, so I have the whole green screen effect. You can see my hands getting cut off because of the way I have OBS set up. But yeah, and the realm maintenance logo, that whole little special effect and stuff like that, that's more of Pride's work too. So
yeah.
But hey, with a little bit of imagination, some tape, and some poster board, even you too can be a professional Twitch streamer.
See, like about 14 thumbs up for Pride at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm apparently really loud compared to everyone else, according to Resto Wolf.
I can't do anything individually about your sound. You'd have to turn yourself down.
Let me see if I can turn mine down. Not a problem.
This is why we do a pre-show, you see, so we can get all of this sorted out. The video is captured off the same. I've only got one Discord scheme going, so if the video is out of sync, then that's not possible, I don't think. Unless it's taking a long time to get here from America. I suppose it might be taking a long time to arrive.
I mean, that's possible. I'm going to turn my input volume down.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit better.
There. Okay.
Yeah. How does that sound? Everyone?
Yeah, hopefully the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm screaming into your eardrums. I apologize for all the bleeding. Feel free to send me invoices for the cotton swabs that you've used over the past half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool,
if
cool.
anything, Ro is a little quiet now. So if you can do sort of halfway
So-
between where you are and where you were.
You see, I'm kind of like Blizzard. It's the whole pendulum swing. It's like this needs to be nerfed. Nerf it all the way. Okay, it's nerfed too much. Okay, let's bring it back. So
Unnerve it a little bit. Right, I need some
Right
fucking
there
gin,
in the middle.
people.
Okay.
I need some gin. I'm going to be back in a second.
Right, so we'll get Ro to.
Go with my marmalade. Where's my cat?
Oh, that's better, Ro, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hope so. If not,
Yeah.
then I'll swing the pendulum the other way.
So what does
Oh,
everybody
boy.
think about the shininess? Obviously, Morgin is definitely a valid answer around here. That's one of our
There's nothing wrong with Morgin.
no.
My
Except
drink of choice is vodka and orange juice, however.
oh, okay. I can
Traditional
don't mind.
screwdriver.
Yeah.
Sometimes whipped cream vodka and orange juice, which is even better.
No. You cannot have whipped cream and orange juice. That's wrong.
No, not whipped cream and orange juice. It's it's vodka that kind of tastes like it has a bit of cream in it.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Not actual
My
cream.
goodness.
Yeah.
See, I was just about to tell you the story about somebody that Raven and I know who had run out of mixers for their gin, so tried it with milk.
Oh, my
Oh
And we're
no.
Like,
No.
why would you go to that? Why would you leap from like, I've got no mixers apart from milk? At which point you go, no, why would you just go, I'll just drink neat gin? Why would you put milk? Like,
That's probably a sin, I think.
I think it is a sin.
Fucking cardinal sin. Which gin should I drink, EJ?
Oh, the one you haven't opened, the pink one. Because you gave us a review of the unpicked one.
Yes, the other one is very, very, very zesty. I like it a lot. It's very, very
Lovely.
floral. Very floral.
Basically, I'd sort of been waiting for you to review them before I decided which one I was going to buy.
Very floral. Bit like more like a Sipsmith than a Hendrix.
Okay.
That's
All right.
also very floral.
Lovely.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Girls Gone Warcraft Radio. Check out our new stuff. I hope you're all enjoying the new stuff. Chat room. We're a very professional outlet now.
See, now I completely failed because I was doing 47 other things. I was going to refresh the purple in my hair. Next week I will refresh the purple so that I
fucking dyed mine. Look, it's black again. Look, it's black again.
Excellent. Well, there you go. I shall I shall purple myself up.
I also, because we're now being professional, I'm not wearing my pajamas.
Oh my goodness.
I've got actual clothes on.
Wow.
There you go. I usually, this is probably more than the chat room really need to know, but I usually perform the podcast in my pajamas because it's towards the end of the day. But I got dressed.
You're a podcaster. If you're not doing the show in pajamas or without pants on, if you're not doing it like that, then you're doing it wrong, clearly.
Totally.
I reckon
so. We also are big fans of raiding pajamas around here.
Yep.
That we used to have a guild where everybody would be like, right, everyone got their raiding pajamas on. Super. Lovely. Raiding pajamas, and we had to work out what everyone was drinking before we started. It was all very important.
Yes.
Raven, do you need computer glasses? Says the chat room. There you go.
It's Anne's job, basically, in life to remind me, although it wasn't Anne that did it. It's Anne's job mostly to remind me to put my glasses on.
Also, Anne is in charge of Time Warp. So if Anne isn't about, I'm like, oh, do you want Time Warp? Okay.
Hey,
it's one of my buttons. Hold on.
We remembered to tell you and everything last night.
I know, it was good. We did very well last week.
You hear Discord noises. Let me close that.
Oh, you know what? Probably because you've had to do your rebuild. Discord's probably put all the notifications back on your.
No, because Discord. It wasn't that disk that died. It's.
Oh, okay.
It's just because I had Discord open in a tab because I was talking to people, because I can't use my actual Discord app because it's got your face all over it. You're all full screen all over my actual Discord app, so I had it open in a tab. But anyway, I've stopped it now. Right. So yeah, there shouldn't be any more Discord noises. That's there. Okay, we're almost good to go. Have you given
All right.
Ro the show notes?
Yes.
I have the show
Yes.
notes in front of me.
I even worked out how now Google has changed it to send the right version so that they didn't have to ask me for permission, which was helpful. Google, thanks.
Wow.
Had to do a little thinking on the Team Positive moment, but I've got a good one.
Good.
Good.
I'm
Yes.
also going to ask you to generate a random word at some point during the show, just to be warned. So.
Does it have to start with an R, N, or G? Because that's my shtick.
I know that's your shtick. That's why you're generating the random word. Yes, it doesn't have to start with a particular letter.
Okay,
it just
great.
has to be a random word. Right. What are all these tabs doing open? My God. Cool.
Eating up your resources.
Yeah, exactly. I have a Google add-on called the Great Suspender that suspends all of my tabs when I'm not using them, so they don't eat up my
Nice.
my bandwidth, which is really helpful. Right.
Oh, do you want me to tweet about the thing that you want Ro to do the random thing for?
We'll do tweets after. It's okay. In fact, there won't need to be a tweet. People have to listen to the show.
Oh, are
That's
people
what I
going to
meant,
attempt to
Tim.
guess the random word that I give?
No. People are going to win a thing. It's going to be all right.
Ah.
We're having a giveaway. Oh. Right. EJ, do you have some gin?
I don't. I could go and get some.
Do you want some gin?
Yes.
Sorry, important things need to be sorted out before we get going. Has everybody got their beverages of choice?
I have my beverage of choice.
That's good. It's a bit earlier in the day where you are, so
yes,
it might not be. It might not be gin o'clock. Might not be gin o'clock over in
not quite
over
yet
in the America land just at the moment. It is now 2 minutes to 8 in the evening, so it is definitely gin o'clock here. Oh man, I got all this stuff going. Apart from the words, I didn't get the scrolly words sorted out. Damn it. Never mind. Yeah, chaos. This is yes, we do have a lot of chaos. This is pretty standard chaos. So it looks like all of my usual listeners have made it here. Oh, and Queen of Murlocs is also here. Excellent. Everyone's here.
Standard chaos protocol.
Yeah, good. Hopefully nobody's over in our Twitch stream, but they will see that they're supposed to be somewhere else if they go over there because it's hosting the thing. Hooray. Wine, yeah. Wine is good. Kitten, what are you shouting about? Can you stop shouting before the show, please?
Yuletide gin.
Oh,
Nothing like seasonal around here.
it's all right. Shell has gin. Yeah, the link in the Twitter feed is a good idea. Right. What's in your Yuletide gin, EJ?
It just says that boutique gin company and Yuletide gin batch.
Oh. What does it smell like? Oh, is it one of the ones from your advent calendar?
Yes.
It's
quite piney. Because I had a couple of days when I wasn't here, so
but it's June tomorrow. Right.
I know. Right.
Okay. So I'm going to need you all to be quiet during the introduction because now we've got the sound levels right. I'm not going to mess with them all again.
You got it.
I'm going to count. I'm going to count in before I start the introduction, and then EJ at the end of the introduction, I will transition back to this screen, and that can start. You could mute yourselves actually whilst you're. Yeah. Cool. I should probably mute myself since there's a fucking helicopter flying above.
The queen, Sandalwood. The queen, should use their minds to save the world, instead of devising ways to tear it apart. Still cries out for vengeance, not to tell the world what's the war is serving its purpose. Stay focused on the end game. You know what is to come.
The 2 essential weapons of an adventurer. A bottle of good gin and a jar of pasty jam. This is Girls Gone WoW.
Well, hello, and welcome to Girls Gone WoW show 421, and our first show for Warcraft Radio. This is so exciting. I'm your host, EJ, and with me I have my lovely co-host, Raven. Raven,
Hello.
tell us about your week. How are you?
I'm not going to tell you about my week, because if I start telling you about my week, I'm going to swear a lot. Yes, a lot. I've had a very stressful week. So yeah, but we've got all this posh stuff. So if you are in the chat room, or if you are watching this on the Warcraft Radio Twitch, so we're on the Warcraft Radio Twitch channel, so that's quite exciting. We're not on our Twitch channel. So that
Well, I
has
mean,
been...
it is your Twitch channel now. I mean, you're
Oh,
part of
yeah, this is
Warcraft Radio,
true.
so this
We
is
are.
your Twitch channel.
We are staff. We signed the contract and everything. So yes, this is our witch. It's a Twitch. Our witch channel. Where we
witch
keep all our
channel.
witches.
That
Yes.
works.
So yes, this is our Twitch channel, but it's not my Twitch channel. It's a different Twitch channel. That's been reasonably complicated. And if you are looking at this, we've got like these fucking overlays. It's all snazzy. We just played the intro into the whole thing. Apparently the sound levels were a bit low, so I'll have to
Fixed
I'll
in
have to
post.
sort that. Well, yeah, I'd fix it in post. That's fine. Yeah, this is orders of magnitude more technical than I have ever done in my life. It's terrifying. I've had a horrible week, and I'm glad it's mostly over.
I'm so proud of you, because you dealt with it all, and I've had to sit here at the sidelines going, "Yay, you're brilliant." Gin's nice.
Additionally, this week, whilst I was dealing with that, another cat's gone off. Whilst I was trying to deal with that, the hard drive that contains not my Windows installation and therefore OBS and all those other sorts of things which I was using to fix all these problems, so that's good. But the hard drive that contains, World of Warcraft and all of my photos, which turns out I've got 21,500 photos.
Blimey.
The hard drive that was containing all of this data decided on Tuesday that it was bored of being a hard drive and it wished to further its career as a doorstop. Here it is, being a doorstop. It literally, so Monday night we were doing some Mythic Pluses, and as we were doing some Mythic Pluses, like every minute or so, my game would just freeze for like 5 seconds.
Oh boy.
If you're healing a 14 key Mythic Plus, this is not okay. So
That's suboptimal.
Yeah, and what was it last week? But there was something on the floor last week. There was some kind of getting out of shit trouble last week. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, whatever the affix was not ideal for people standing around for 5 seconds and not doing anything, and was not ideal for not being healed. So that was amazing. I was like, no, Quaking's this week.
Was it bursting last week?
Might have been bursting. Oh, I don't remember what it was. But yeah, it was very not ideal. So I came out of World of Warcraft and I left all the Mythic Plus team doing something else, and I said, "Hey, Windows, could you just run a little error check on run a little scan disk on this little disk here?" And Windows said, "Sure." And then it came up with that little box that is like, "Scan disk cannot complete unless you restart your machine. We recommend you run scan disk on a restart." And I'm like, "Okay, I have a sinking feeling." So I ran ScanDisk on a restart, and it said fixing E drive, and it said that for about 20 minutes. Then when it came
Well,
back,
at least it was only 20.
yeah, and then when it came back, it was like, I've only got one disk drive. I've got one disk drive, and I'm using it. It's right here. It's called C drive. That's just the one. I was like, are you really sure? And it was like, yeah. And I looked in the disk manager, and it's like, nope, nothing here. Just this one. I've got this one solid state drive, but don't have anything else. I was like, oh, great. Thanks very much. Fortunately, my Baldur's Gate save games are saved somewhere else, and everything is backed up. Everything's backed up like double times over. But it does mean that I've spent the rest of the week waiting for the new disk to arrive, installing the new disk, and then copying 21,000 photos.
Oh dear. And obviously putting WoW back on your machine.
I'm putting WoW back on, yeah. Putting WoW back on the machine.
So,
and also putting the alpha back on.
I have to ask, out of 21,000 photos, what do you expect the majority of those photos consist pictures of?
Dino. They're definitely horse pictures. I mean, there are some Whitby pictures, and there's I haven't owned the cat quite as long, and the cat doesn't do quite as many exciting things, but they're mostly pictures of Dino. Probably of the 21,000, 16, 17,000 are probably photos of my horse.
Raven's had a bit of a week, and as you can hear, we are not on our own for our first show with Warcraft Radio. We are delighted to welcome our lovely friend, Ro. Welcome to the show, Ro, again. One of our frequent flyers, which we very much enjoy.
And on our same network, you're like a network co-host.
Yeah, I'm part of the Warcraft Radio family. It's super exciting to be on here, and I figured, if you're going to have fancy graphics and overlay and stuff, I better just whip up my green screen here. And for those of you just listening on the audio feed, check out twitch.tv/Warcraft Radio. Check out the VOD of it, and I'm sure they'll probably put this up on their YouTube channel or something like that. But yeah, it's fancy stuff going on here. I'm just happy to be here. I'm glad that you guys have made the move and are part of this, because really Warcraft Radio just continues to grow and grow, and it's pretty exciting times recently.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed, I've suddenly got a whole huge list of shows, new shows to listen to, which is very exciting. And lots of new people to talk to, and new places to hang out. Obviously, we still have our Girls Gone WoW Discord, but you can also find us on the Warcraft Radio Discord. There's many places you can now find us. But before we get to all of that, obviously, this is the bit where we do our interview, but Ro is one of our frequent flyers, so I'm not going to subject you all to the normal interview, just the tail end of it. So, Ro, what Shadowlands feature are you most excited about at the moment? Obviously, the alpha news is coming thick and fast.
Yeah, it is. And, there's a whole lot of stuff going on with, of course, new zones, questing, exploration, and all that. Customization features, which are kind of cool and stuff. But for me, the one thing that has my attention in Shadowlands is Torghast Tower of the Damned. 99% of my time testing on the alpha has been nothing but Torghast, and specifically on the Warlock. I'm actually thinking about rolling up or generating a couple of different classes and trying them in Torghast. But I've been playing... when it comes to playing WoW lately, I've been playing the alpha more than live, and I'm just doing Torghast runs over and over. Just it does not get boring. It is super fun. I'm not getting any special loot or anything like that, but it's some of the most fun and unique gameplay that I've had in World of Warcraft in a long time. And the fact that we are, I think it's safe to say, a few months away at least, if not more than that, until this thing goes live. And there's plenty of time to polish this and just make it even crisper, bigger, and better. I think when people actually finally have this in their hands and it's live on retail, people are going to be very pleased with it. It is not, for those who are wondering, oh my gosh, this is going to be Warfronts again or Islands again. Mind you, I loved Islands, but I get that a lot of people didn't. You have nothing to fear when it comes to Torghast. It is an entirely different experience, and it's really great.
And it's so adaptable. The fact that you can go on your own, or you can go out with anything up to 4 friends. I really like, my one big thing, we've said this a couple of times, is I really hope that they don't gate it in a way that that takes away the appeal of it. I would ideally like to see that maybe if you do, you can have like X, like 1 run or whatever number of runs a week, and you'll get shinies, and then you can just go in for a laugh and don't expect to get some shinies. I would like a sort of shiny route and a non-shiny route.
Yeah, I think the path to doing that is to have kind of 2 forms of progression or 2 forms of reward systems in Torghast. I think if you have your gear, your legendary crafting components and stuff like that, that are somewhat limited to how often you can acquire them. Like, say, any given week, you can only get so much of that stuff by doing Torghast. You have that there. That way, everyone in terms of like player power is kind of not going to be one above the other by doing a whole lot of grinding. But what I think that they need to do is, for the people that are just love playing it and want to play it as much as possible, is allow unlimited entries, allow people to try to work for silly achievements, for cosmetic rewards and stuff like that. Have those rewards be separate from the player power stuff. Let people enter there however many times they want, and just put a limit on how much of the legendary crafting components you can get, or how many pieces of boss loot that you can get off of stuff. And I think it'll work out fine. Are people going to complain about the reward system regardless of whatever they make? Of course. But I agree. Limiting the number of times that you can run Torghast, I feel, would be a mistake.
Very much. I think most people are on the sort of same page on that one at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. Moving on from Shadowlands for a moment, can you share a team positive moment you've had recently, either in-game or in real life?
Yeah, so I was giving this a little bit of thought because, again, like I said, haven't been playing a lot of retail WoW lately because it's been majority in Torghast. But when I have been playing retail WoW and I haven't been raiding, I'm trying to make the team positive moments for some people. So for my raid team, we're right now working on Normal N'Zoth. And there are a number of us who have actually been away for a while or just haven't had as much time to play. And a number of people on my raid team are behind on their cloak ranks. Some have just returned from the game after a brief hiatus. And what I'm trying to do now that I'm rank 15, my corruption resistance is fine. I've got thousands upon thousands of coalescing visions, so I can pretty much enter a horrific vision whenever I please. So if there's someone who's really down on cloak level, I'd be like, hey, what's your cloak level at? And if they tell me 2, 3, or 4, I'll be like, okay, let's do a horrific vision. As long as you got the visions, and I'll carry you. And even if they're at like rank 2 or 3 and they don't have all the things unlocked, I can pretty much carry them through a full clear to get them all the stuff that they need for a quest or a couple of quests or then some. And that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to help my raid team kind of catch up and get caught up so that we're that much closer to being geared to taking on N'Zoth.
Awesome. That's what we would like to see. Yes, I have slacked a little bit since I got rank 15. But I've got so many things to do. But I really like that. I know that we've helped a couple of people get their cloaks up a little bit, and we keep talking about trying some 5 masks
Yeah, we haven't quite got.
I've tried Five
round to that
Mask
yet.
solo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've tried Five Mask solo a couple of times. It's tough. You know what? I think that if I get that achievement, or I think you have to do it, maybe you have to do 5 Mask in both ones to get the title. I don't know.
Yeah,
To get the
but-
to get the title, you have to do it both. You have to do it in both. So you get an achievement for doing each one, and then you need both of the achievements for the title.
I feel like Stormwind's going to be harder than Orgrimmar for that. I think I can do a 5 Mask in Orgrimmar. I've tried 5 Mask a couple of times in Stormwind, and that stupid mage quarter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a go at that ourselves the other week, and it was going really well until the mage quarter. And then it was like, okay, and now everybody's dead again, everybody, you know what, let's go and we're just gonna go and let's go and do a plus 15 mythic plus. Yes, that'll be much better.
that
Thank you
sounds
very
much
much.
nicer.
Actually probably plus 12, but you know, you get my point.
Anything would have been better than that. It was just, you get to the top of the hill after going past like the alchemists and the tailors, and then you can unfortunately pull just too many of those mini bosses all at the same time, and the floor is covered with everything, and you're being feared, and then a horrific like extra thing and you're just like, I'm dead
you don't
now.
have any
Everyone's
sanity.
dead, Dave.
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
You
Awful,
solo
awful,
it.
awful.
So if you're a caster DPS and you're trying to solo a 5 Mask, that one boss that patrols around that, spews a whole bunch of void zones that you have to keep on constantly moving and dancing out of, that is the bane of my existence for a solo 5 Mask run. Because I have to stay in one place to cast, but I get very few moments to not do that. So the only way I really clear that is by having my Imp's Firebolts and, a couple random dots kill it over time with attrition and stuff. But that takes a lot of time, and sanity is a precious resource when you only have half of it, and abilities to get rid of it faster and all that. It can be tough.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Right, we're into our promotion zone. So, Ro, you are a podcaster of all of the things. So how many pies do you have your fingers in at the moment?
Let's see. 5?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think 5. So there is Rolling Restart, which is a Warcraft Radio podcast that's focused on World of Warcraft. Realm Maintenance, which a lot of people have known me for from the beginning, which is a podcast about all the podcasts that are covering WoW, Hearthstone, Overwatch, basically all the Blizzard stuff that's out there. I've been doing a Hearthstone show called Hearth Casual, which is already like more than 2 years old, which is crazy. But I have a whole lot of fun doing that with my co-host Kevin Ellis. And the other 2 pies, which people may not know about as much, is I'm in 2 different groups playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I've been having a lot of fun doing that. I mean, honestly, I think I have more fun playing Dungeons and Dragons and raiding and doing progression against N'Zoth, to be perfectly honest. So one of the groups is called +5 to Hit. And in that one, I play the role of a female halfling Tempest cleric named Faerana Wavecrest. I don't do a great voice for a female halfling cleric, but I give it my best shot. And the other group I'm with does a Twitch stream called Feats of Fellowship. And in there, I play a Genasi, which is kind of like a what if a human and a genie had a kid? I play a Genasi Horizon Walker, which is a kind of ranger archer character. And we're right now in when we last left off on that one, we were literally in a dungeon trying to hunt down some dragon eggs. So all good stuff. I'm just having a lot of fun. It's crazy because it's just I have all these different projects and diversions and stuff like that, and I've spent so little time doing any of that stuff in the past week because work has been absolutely crazy. But it makes those moments that much better when I get to do them.
Yes, because you are one of the essential workers out there. So I should imagine it's been pretty non-stop.
Especially when a holiday weekend like Memorial Day weekend comes around, and then the aftermath of it, and people decide, okay, summer's started, we can stop wearing masks and be stupid and go wherever we want to go and do whatever we please. I don't want to get too soapboxy about that stuff, but I think people could be making better life choices. That's all.
So this is still the time to wash your hands and put your mask on, folks.
Absolutely.
Stay
We'll
away
leave-
from
we'll
each
leave that
other.
there.
Stay away from each
Yes,
other.
and stay away from each other and be nice to each other. I think that will
Yeah,
sort
be
of
excellent to
cap
each other.
everything off there.
Yes.
Yes. Good evening to Caprica, who has joined for her first Warcraft Radio stream. Hello, Caprica. She looks most annoyed.
Yeah,
Excellent.
she's been sitting here for a really long time, actually, for her. But yeah, she looks really cross. So I'm expecting to get murdered in my sleep later.
Excellent. As is your role as a cat owner. I say cat owner, but they sort of own us, don't they?
She does the owning. She definitely does the
Yeah.
owning. Don't you,
Pretty
princess?
much.
Yes.
So with all of your computer-related woes this week, Ravenface, have
Hello.
you managed to spend any time with Warcraft?
Well, no. So not really, apart from yesterday, because so we did a bit of Mythic Plus on Monday. The hamster's in the chat room, so he'll probably tell us what it was that we did. I don't really remember where we were because my computer kept freezing every minute and a half. So that was a bit problematic. We might have been in. No, I don't know where we were. So we did a little bit on Monday. It didn't go brilliantly well because the affixes were shit, and also because my computer kept freezing it's just not ideal, really. So then Tuesday the hard drive died. Wednesday the hard drive was new hard drive was supposed to arrive, but it didn't. So we were in the junkyard. Oh God, yes, we were in the junkyard. That was where we were. Yeah, and because there's nothing in the fucking junkyard that you ever need to get out of in a hurry, so that having your computer freezing every fucking 45 seconds is going to be completely fine, obviously. So yeah, we were in the junkyard. It was hell. So then Wednesday, you all went raiding without me because I didn't have a computer that had any kind of installation of World of Warcraft with which to come and raid with you.
We did. We were sort of low on numbers. And so I not only did I have to do some raid leading, I also had to take up pun telling and being slightly saucy because we had all the people who fill these roles were not there. So I had to take that mantle on. And so I had gone to learn about how to play football because we knew that our premium football player wasn't going to be with us.
Premier League football player.
Yeah, Premier League football player wasn't with us. And so we collected people together and we had 10 people. So I'm like, so we've got enough people to run. I said, we can either extend the lock from the previous week, which would have meant us going to
so my suggestion
play football.
Was football, Dragon Pants and Raden was my suggestion.
Yes, so that was the plan. So I said, right, so we can do that. Or we can wait for Raven to be back and everybody else to be back, and we can just do a fresh clear for as long as we fancy it. So I said, so the important question is anybody apart from Anna and myself willing to play football? There was silence.
Oh.
Nothing stirred. So much so I checked Discord was still working. So at that point, it was right, so I guess we're doing a fresh run.
I need to jump in here and say really quick, there is nothing scary about playing football. There really isn't. I solo that thing. I think the reason why people don't volunteer to play football is because they hate that personal responsibility. They don't want to be the person that has the finger pointed at if they mess up. If you mess up, you mess up.
I watched a Preach video, and then I watched Hazelnutty Games video because I sort of two juxtaposed ways of explaining things, and I was like, oh, this looks all right. You've sort of got to point it and think, okay. So but yes, nobody else wanted to play football, so we went and had a bit of a canter about. So we murdered Ruthian, Maut, Prophet, and Dogtheron, which is I can't even remember what Dogtheron's real name is. And then
I assume the football lady has a name. Fucked if I know what it is.
That's the Dark Inquisitor. That one I do
Oh.
know.
Okay, all right. Yeah, good. Her.
Yeah. So at that point, we'd been playing for about an hour, and somebody had to go for a family thing, and somebody else had to go because they were feeling tired. And I was like, you know what? We've had a giggle. We'd had some fun. Everybody was quite happy, and next week we will hopefully have more players about. We will definitely have Raven about. We can do the thing to the lock. Carry it forward.
Yes, so
extend
I'm going to
extend the lock.
extend the lockout. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to extend the lockout. We are starting with the football boss this Wednesday. So those of you who are Team Easily Amoosed, you can consider yourselves on notice. If you don't volunteer, I will be picking people. We are killing that boss this week. I think it is a public service announcement. Thank you very much for listening. Raisha has stepped in to tank for us on Wednesday because Hamster's got family stuff to attend to, so Hamster's not going to be around this week. But Raisha has agreed to tank for us. Raisha. Yeah. So Raisha's agreed to tank, which means Steel be DPSing, and we are starting with the football boss. So there you go.
But you did.
I wish I had a character to help you out.
Bless you.
Oh well, anybody on the EU is welcome. So the plan for this week is football boss, then Dragon Pants, then probably Raden.
Yes.
Easily Amoosed. Oh, bless you, Gus. We're on normal, sweetheart. We have got all the way up to N'Zoth, and we did 2 solid weeks on N'Zoth, and then people don't like it's too intense to keep banging our head against the same wall. So we've gone back to the beginning, similar to your team, Ro. We've gone back to the beginning and we've started a fresh lockout, and now we're working our way back through to get people a little bit more gear, to make sure people have got a chance to get their cloak up to date, all of that kind of stuff. We've probably got some people with skip quests somewhere.
So you've gotten up to, with you getting up to N'Zoth, have you given heroic Rathion a try?
Yes, we've got heroic Rathion down. We also got heroic Prophet down.
Yep.
We didn't.
Yeah, those 460 pieces help.
Yeah. We had a crack at Mount, but we didn't quite have the DPS for it. So yeah, we've done a couple on heroic, and we could. Maybe we'll have a try at Rathion again just before we go through there. So yeah. That's the plan for Wednesday. So yes, I did do some Mythic Plus yesterday. So I've killed all the bandits at the end of chapter 3 in Baldur's Gate. All the bandits are now ex-bandits. I have murdered all of the bandits. They are now dead. I also murdered a vampiric wolf, which is good because they're tough to kill. They're very tough to kill.
Vampiric wolf, surely.
A vampiric wolf. It hangs out with lots of other wolves. There's you get a wolf, you get a little woof and a little woof, and then a slightly bigger, like an elite wolf, and then you get like a vampiric wolf. And they're quite difficult to hit. Quite often when you start hitting them with things, it says your weapon is ineffective. And you're like, fuck you then. Thank you very much. If you root it and you hit it with, you get your spellcaster, of which you only have one because they die all the fucking time in Baldur's Gate. So like having more than one spellcaster is just a fucking liability. So you root it and then you get your spellcaster to hit it with spells or magical arrows, indeed, as Marie points out in the chat room. They are best killed at ranged. Like once they get up to you, they just nom on your face. It's pretty awful. So yeah, I've killed all the bandits at the end of chapter 3, so that was quite exciting. And I'm just moving into chapter 4 in Baldur's Gate. I had to make sure my save game was still there, obviously.
Yes, very important.
Very, very important. We did some mythics last night. In fact, Friday night and Saturday night we did some mythics.
I know. Look at us being organised this week.
Yeah, we didn't have much amazing progress, but I felt like we were kind of getting back into the swing of things. So we got a Shrine 12 cleared in time. And when I say in time, I mean by about like 9 seconds last night. That was a little bit closer than I was really anticipating. Yes, it was in time. But there was a sort of horrible moment. We sat and went with Mythic Dungeon tools because we get forces wrong in Shrine.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. So we sat with Mythic Dungeon tools and we counted up all of the fucking, count that one, count that one, it all comes up to 101%, yeah, and that's going to be alright, should be alright. And as we were killing the very, very last available things, we were like, did we fuck this up? Did we fuck this up? Maybe we fucked this up. Shit. And then we like basically killed like the last eel, and it was
Eel.
like forces. We were like, fuck. Yeah, there we go. It wasn't, as Hamster points out, it wasn't our tightest in time. We have finished a mythic with about 100 milliseconds to spare.
We did like that over the last couple of days, didn't we?
Well, we missed the mother load by about 45 seconds. I think we did do one. Oh, it was a junkyard.
We did
Was
a
it
junkyard, literally. Yes, we did a junkyard the other day, and it was one of those moments when you're like, "Did we do it in time?" Like, literally, there must have been like a breath, tiniest breath, to make sure that we'd done it in time. Yeah, it was like junkyard was at 0 seconds as far as the thing was concerned, and Azoth is like, "Oh, you did it! Oh, damn it!"
Okay, I was unprepared. Yeah, so we've done a bit of Mythic Plus. We cleared a 14, but not in time. We had to go at some 13s. Whew. It was all a bit, yeah. We've done some stuff. Way to inspire your Mythic Plus team to high levels of confidence. Incidentally, sit and go. Do my cast bars usually look like that? I don't think they do. Do I use a cast bar add-on? I'm sure it doesn't look right. It's like, what are you doing? Because obviously I lost my WoW install, so all of my add-ons were backed up, but they didn't all quite come back because that thing never works perfectly. So I've lost a whole load of settings. I've lost all my added bag settings. I've lost all my TSM settings. This is actually genuinely devastating. I have lost all of my TSM settings, all of my TSM groups, all of my pricing strategies. The whole of my TSM has gone. So that's really frustrating. But I think I've lost a cast bar add-on. I think I used to use a cast bar add-on. I think that's what the problem is. But my cast bars don't look right. It's very unnerving.
I hate how much that impacts you. Because like every time you're doing something, you're like, that shouldn't look like that. What's going on?
Yes, and it really unnerves your Mythic Plus team if you start talking about like cast bars whilst you're healing them. They get a bit upset. So I also lost.
Yes, and when you realise your WoW, when you realised all your weak auras had gone. I've got no weak auras.
Yeah, the first time we walked in the first time, and I was like, all of my weak auras have gone. That's going to be a problem. So then I was like, literally, we're going through this thing, and I'm like, can somebody shout innovate at me every 3 minutes? And they were like, why? It's because I've got a weak aura for innovate timers. Fuck, like, I'm never going to remember to use it if it doesn't light up. So Dan got very good at shouting innovate at me, and just throwing innovate, a balanced druid innovate at me if there is one. So, but I've worked out what weak aura set I was using for that, so that's good. I've reinstalled those. I reinstalled the balance ones I was using. Can't remember the shaman and hunter ones I was using. Fucking hell. Anyway, so I need to work out where in the depths of these folders those settings are saved, because that folder obviously also needs backing up. So we've learned some things. I've learned some things. I've learned things this week. It's been a heavy learning week. I've also learned a lot about OBS. More than I ever probably wanted to know about OBS. There was a moment, there was a moment on Tuesday where we did a little like demo run of all of this shiny, and I tried to set it up on Tuesday like evening, and I thought it was going to be, well, I sort of hadn't really thought about how difficult it was going to be, and it's like, oh, and here's the tech demo, and I like watched the tech demo, and I was like, oh shit. I don't know how to do any of those things. Shit. Fortunately, the Warcraft Radio crew are all completely amazing. So when I posted, somebody, in fact, I think it was Pride, very quickly took some screenshots, was like, press this button, here's another screenshot, press this button, make this setting, this number, do this thing, do this thing. Like, it worked. Amazing. Hooray. So there's obviously still a bit of tweaking to do, but given that I had given where I was on Tuesday night, I feel a lot happier about this now. So there we go. So yeah, it's been a very exciting week in OBS. This is not my forte, people. Like, this podcast has been held together with
done amazing.
Podcast has been
we
held
all
together
start
with like
somewhere.
sticky back plastic and string for the last 10 years, and all of a sudden I've got to do it properly. Yeah, I hope everybody's imagining some words scrolling across the top of the screen. I'll get that working next week. It'll be fine.
Remember when trying to learn Audacity was just the worst?
Oh, God. Oh, man, that took me years, and I'm still not very good at it. Fuck me. Yeah, it was just a question. Yeah. Yeah, I know as much about Audacity and as much about OBS as I need to know in order to get this thing that you are all currently watching and or listening to on the road. That is the full extent of my knowledge, okay? And I learn what I need to learn to do those things and nothing else. I'm an accountant. I'm a finance director. This is my natural environment. So I've drunk quite a lot of gin this week, but I'm raising a gin to Pride and to all of the crew at Warcraft Radio for getting us well and truly sorted out. So yeah, good work.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my week.
Ro, what have you done gaming wise this week?
Not a lot this week. Again, I put in 60 hours of work. That is a lot of work.
That's a long week.
Oh man, that's a long week. Yeah.
What I have been doing to decompress from that is, again, it's primarily Torghast on the Shadowlands Alpha and an occasional Hearthstone game or two on my phone, sometimes at home. But that's predominantly it. Also, raiding with my raid team. We raid 2 nights a week for a couple hours a night. So a little bit of that. Honestly, the amount of escapism from real life has been a bit lacking of late. I could use a little more. Mainly, work's been so crazy just because we're incredibly understaffed over there. But we're getting a couple more people coming in to help out from other stores. So I think I'll be able to put in a regular 40-hour week next week, which means more time to actually do all the things. So I'm looking forward to that. But again, when you only have so much, if I only have so much limited time, and I find that the majority of that time is me just wanting to play Torghast over and over again, that kind of just goes to show how great Torghast has been so far, and just. It's seeing it evolve, the amount of polish that's had. The very first time that they opened up Torghast, there were only half the textures around. It looked completely different back then than from what it looks like right now. Now it has like an entry hub and everything like that, several different themes and looks for it. And I think you can play every class in there right now with the exception of Paladin, I want to say.
Oh.
Yeah, don't let the Paladins in. They'll break it. That'll be terrible.
Oh, man.
Those tea trays will be flying everywhere.
Tea trays, yeah, all that tea tray damage. It'll be awful. Don't let them in. That's our advice. Strong advice from Girls Gone Wild. Don't let
Maybe it's working as intended. I don't know. But no, Torghast has been a lot of fun. That's where most of my WoW time has been. I'm either raiding or playing Torghast and sending feedback when I can. That's been pretty much it. I have not had too many opportunities to do Torghast with other people. I've mostly been doing it solo. So I think kind of like one of my goals for the next week or two is to find people in Alpha who are interested in doing Torghast and trying teaming up with them, because I want to see what that experience is like.
We could do that with you, because the Alpha isn't zoned.
That is true.
Yes. In fact, one of the things I was going to do this week was run up a Horde character in the Alpha, because it has come to our attention that Warcraft Radio is quite Horde heavy.
That doesn't mean we need to go Horde.
I'm not saying we're going Horde. I'm just saying it would be nice to play with people.
There's nothing wrong with some Alliance representation in Warcraft Radio, but yeah, there is a lot of Horde and Wargreen and amongst the staff and whatnot.
So, we've arrived to say Alliance prevails to try and equal things out a little bit. But yes, for the purposes of Alpha, I was just thinking, it's quite nice to then be playing on the side where I could do, I've seen people sort of doing dungeons and things like that. So I was going to make myself a little Volpira.
Oh. We've started some kind of argument in the chat room. Amazing.
Excellent.
Oh man, it
The
begins.
The alpha is indeed not region locked. So when you're in alpha, you're basically playing on US servers. There isn't a
Right.
separate EU or indeed any other region lock for the alpha. So they've only got one set of servers. They're all the way in the US, which means occasionally you get sort of weird. Well, occasionally you get more lag playing in the UK, but not very often. Actually, it's been pretty stable.
It has been. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, so we could actually all play together. So I guess, oh man, am I gonna have to roll a? Oh, I guess I can roll a cow.
Yeah, you like
It'll
a cow.
be fine.
Roll a cow.
It'll be fine.
Pretty cow. So for Warcraft this week, obviously I've talked about my group content, and actually that's in retail. That's all I've done this week. Big Animal Crossing news because Raven loves this bit. So I went through with what I said last week.
We're all right. I've got
Excellent.
Gin. Got this much gin.
So Monday morning, I deleted my 5-star island. Bye-bye 4 wins. Off it went. And I rolled a brand new island with the help of our lovely friend Soulseared, who quite often is in the chat room.
Yeah,
And I now have created Half Hill is my new island.
Nice. I approve.
Which was great. So I ferried all of my stuff that I dumped on Ams's island over to my new island. So I had like my beach just covered with things. Like, should you put those away? No, I've only got 70 slots in my house. I have to make my house bigger. So every time you add a room to your house, you get more storage. So I had to sort of. So basically, I spent the week. Sorting that out. Unfortunately, no, Julian didn't stay or come to my new island. I'm going to have to find Julian again, Gus. But I have got the most adorable characters. So I have got Antonio, who's an anteater, and I've got Cat, who is a cat.
Well, that's a relief. I mean, if she'd been a fucking aardvark, that would have been very confusing.
And I've got Drago, who's an alligator, but is sort of quite dragon-esque.
You see,
and I've got Bangle.
He's wrong.
Yes, it is.
He's very wrong. It's wrong.
But he's really sweet. He's very sweet.
It's wrong. It just looks wrong.
Okay. And then I've got Bangle, who is an amazing tiger, and I love her, and she's adorable. And then I've got Bertha, who's a blue hippopotamus, and I love her, and she just arrived today. So yeah, that's what I've spent most of my time doing, is basically trying to furiously get enough storage so that my beaches weren't covered with my possessions.
So other people can just fly tip on your beaches. Just like turn up and dump stuff all over your beaches.
So the sort of thing about you can invite people under a code that means it locks down, it prohibits what they're allowed to do. Or you can have best friends who are allowed to come and play with all your shit and deposit stuff everywhere. And
Okay.
So you can lock it down and keep your stuff safe, or you can put in fences so people can only get to certain bits of your island, which is what people do sometimes if they're having like an open event. Because otherwise some people will just come and literally take all your stuff. It's serious business.
Hamster says he had a pet rabbit called Squirrel when he was a kid.
Hey!
AJ, do you see many animals? Do you see many animals that have got other animals' names?
No, not a lot.
That's good.
We occasionally see like a dog called Dog or a cat called Cat, and you sort of look at the owners going, really? But so now I've got my island back up to a sensible spot. My plan for the week is Alpha, Hordy, and I do want to do the 5 masks, but that does mean I need to start running the invasions again. And I just think I need another couple of weeks off. I think in another couple of weeks' time, I'll be up for grinding the invasions again. But I think I'm still over them at the moment. So, right. Well, let's see what everyone else has been up to. We've got a couple of voicemails this week. Excellent work, people. Which one are we going to start with, Raven?
Well, let's hope this one works.
Greetings and salutations, my friends. It is I, Cassandra. While travelling with Lady Rose, I've discovered we have some shared interests. We like rescuing small creatures and protecting them back in our homes. We also like finding larger creatures that we can use to charge into battle, whether it's land, air or sea, finding mighty beasts that will help us in our combats. Well, we also enjoy a good puzzle, and this week Lady Rose summoned me to Dalaran, where she'd found this note in the curiosity shop. It looked like a puzzle was afoot. Well, using contacts and information sources I've garnered over the years, we made our way through, tracing puzzles through dungeons, including ended up in one large teleportation maze. I still have nightmares about orbs and runes, but eventually it led us to the back of Karazhan, where we discovered a box. Well, to our delight, this box contained a beautiful black unicorn. Some have called it a lucid nightmare, but I think it's too beautiful to be a nightmare. But a most enjoyable journey we had, breaking this puzzle down. I'm afraid I wasn't able to make it with you with the Nylothid this week. Unfortunately, a bout of narcolepsy caught up with me, and I think I slept most of that evening. But I hope you're awake for this week, and I will be back with you, blazed at the ready, and jokes. Apologies to our mage. Be seeing you.
The lucid nightmare. Yes, what an amount. I did enjoy.
To fly in Shadowlands.
Yes, that's some of the best news I've heard recently, because you're like, I'm cramped. Oh, I'm on the floor. Yes, I'm very pleased that it will learn how to fly going forwards. That is good stuff. Raven, are you all right? I'm looking at your face. You're pulling that. I'm not sure.
The sound didn't sound right in the chat room. Are you not reading the chat room? So the sound didn't sound right in the chat room. So we're not going to play the other voicemail just yet, because I'm going to fiddle with some things.
Okay, well in that case, Glowing Mage says, I played a bit this week, but I haven't done anything big. Friday we tried Heroic Nyalotha, which went all right. We killed Rathian and Skiptra. Sadly, we didn't get past Mount. I did some mythics, but mostly I did easy stuff to take my mind off things and just relax. Sounds very sensible.
Mm-hmm. Gus says, I learned this week that my usual raiding team, my Horde Guild, is looking to get more serious and it made me drop out. Oh no!
No.
I don't mind doing harder content, but I'm feeling a disinterest in putting myself up for a certain night or two. I did a Mythic 11 Junkyard in 25 minutes with my guild, first plus 10 in time! Hooray! And I'm doing the invasions for the rep, but I lack my cloak. It's level 12, but 250k in currency just sitting there. I might pick it up for the end of the expansion. Hopefully this is on time. My apologies if it isn't. No, it was very, very, very well on time.
Thank you. Marie says, Shenanigans killed Vexiona. Yay! Then died a lot to Heroic Rathian. My survivability on that fight is abysmal. I've checked Mechon daily for the chest quest and have only a few more until I hit Exalted. And I never have to go back there again. Otherwise, I've been playing the new Civ 6 content and Animal Crossing. And this time consuming game called Life. Yes, indeed.
Life takes way too much time, guys. They really need to nerf that.
Yeah,
I know.
need to get
So
rid
much
of it.
time.
Weird. I've lost my place because I was playing with my sound settings. Kaba says, my week in WoW. Can we change it back to my week in ESO? This will be short. I've done more Elder Scrolls anyway. I've been leveling up a Dark Iron Paladin that I probably don't need. I can't help it though, because he looks damn cool with a fire beard and hair. Plus, his name is Firebrew. A dwarf beer and fire. How can I not want to play him? Oh, he sounds
awesome.
Excellent.
Yes, I can see why you're like, I'll just a little bit more.
Yes, just a little bit more.
Cheryl says, picked up the Twilight Avenger mount, 296. Woo! Shenanigans killed Vexiona. T-Rex did more 8+. I can't even remember what we did now. Tuesday seems so long ago. I got back on the cloak train and now up to level 10 on my cloak. Most of this week has been directly related to trying to ignore the outside world from their own mental health. Yes, a lot of people are having a really, really tough time at the moment, and I hope that everybody can stay as safe and as healthy as possible.
Yes. We will leave that there. Raisha says, Steve and I grouped up with Mecca and got our 5 miles clear of Stormwind. Congrats! And finished the
Nice.
achievement that gives the Black Serpent of Nazoth. Oof, good week. We finished a clear of Heroic on Wednesday to get some of the newer guildies there ahead of the curve. And Mount still hasn't given me his weapon on Heroic or Mythic.
Ooh.
Boo. I've been bringing my shaman to the last few Friday drunk raids, and I'm getting the hang of Resto Chamois, and it's million totems. I even got 7 to 8 keystone runs this week with some of the guild ults, so she's slowly gearing up. Our mains are consistently clearing plus 17s in time, and even completed a plus 18 just outside the timer. Oh my god.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Wow. Nice. Kaz says the 8+ T-Rex finished in time was a motherload. We are about to try a +9, although I forget what it is. It'll be entertaining at least. I've not been in the game at all besides dungeon times and raid times, been a little bit distracted. Mo and I did get a lot of our stuff moved to the new place yesterday, and I've just gotten up and got my computer set up to go and do that +9 dungeon.
Oh, I
A
really
new
hope...
place and
I really hope the move went well and the new place is like amazing.
I mean, moving house is never a simple task, but moving a house at the moment in the middle of a pandemic, I feel so much for anybody trying to do that at the
Yeah.
moment.
Seems
Yeah.
like a bad idea. Seems like a bad idea. Okay, so we're going to play Salmus's email. Chat room, if it sounds funny again, please tell me. I apologise. I will fix it in post for all of you people listening to it on the download. And hopefully next week I will get my shit together.
Hello, Raven, EJ, and Ro. This is Salmus, the alchemical rogue, reporting in for my week in WoW. First of all, congratulations to Warcraft Radio on the decision to join with Girls Gone WoW. I hope you are feeling the new expansion excitement. Friends and family explored our Horde alts this week, where I got to show them the secret Zandalari Pepe in King's Rest. Team Ritual Healing ran a few Mythic Pluses this week and introduced me to Quaking, an affix that means very different things to my Warlock than my Rogue. Shenanigans found a way to vanquish Vexiona on normal difficulty and then took a couple of stabs at Heroic Rathian. For an imposter, it can sure lay down a lot of fire. The biggest challenge this week was trying a couple of 3 mask runs in the horrific version of Stormwind. You know, they go pretty well until they don't go well at all. But I'm so glad to be able to experience all this alongside such great people. Thank you, ladies and guests. Salmus out.
Yes, mask runs. They go great until they don't go great. Mythic Plus also.
Tagline.
Yeah, Mythic Plus also. It'll be going fine, and then it'll suddenly not be going fine. And sometimes the transition between the two is not obvious to anyone. Yes, okay. Well, sorry, chat room, for subjecting you to... Well, not sorry. Sorry for subjecting you to Salmus twice. But I will fix that in post.
Bonus Salmus.
Salmus. I don't know why that's doing that. I absolutely hate audio settings. This is obviously something I had set up differently that I've now changed. Anyway, that brings us to the middle of the show. In celebration of us joining Warcraft Radio, we have not 1 but 2 prizes to give away. So 2 of our listeners or community members, more than listeners, have very generously made 1 for the EU, 1 for the NA, the Mecha Mogul 2 mounts that you get the recipe, you get the schematic out of the motherload. So these are cool mounts. There's going to be a little bit of shenanigans picking them up. Basically, you're going to have to roll probably an allied race on a specific server so that it can be traded to you. But we think we've got that worked out. So we've got one on the EU, we've got one on the NA. If you would like to win one of these mounts, I'm going to pick a name out of the hat. You need to either DM me on Twitter or DM me on Discord a word that Ro is about to tell you. Now, Ro, you're famous for your RNG making up word segment, so I'm going to ask you to give me the word that is going to be the word that people need to message me to prove that they've listened to the show and they are worthy of having a chance at winning one of the mounts. Go, word.
Technology.
Technology. Okay. Perfect.
Very fitting for this week.
Yeah. Okay. The theme for the week. So, if you would like to be in with a chance, please send me a DM on Twitter or on Discord. Please tell me whether you are EU or NA, because these will be two different competitions with the word technology in the word. So, everyone got that? DM me on Twitter, DM me on Discord with the word technology and whether you are EU or NA, and I will put you in the metaphorical hat, which will be a spreadsheet with a random number generator. And then we'll tell you next week. Listen to next week's show to tell you who has won. Okay.
Apparently you should already have your first DM.
Yeah, people are DMing me already. Banian, please keep the voicemails coming. That was totally my fault. Not your fault. That's my voicemail. That's my sound settings. Don't. I hope you understood that Salmus's sounded the same. So that's absolutely not your fault, and it's one of the highlights of our show. Definitely keep those coming.
Again, right. Technology.
Again, technology, yeah. It's because I was saying this to somebody earlier on this week. We had because I had some trouble with this on Tuesday night when we were doing the thing. It's the virtual audio cables. Getting the soundboard to play to the stream, but also into the Discord call is actually quite complicated. And I really don't understand how the virtual audio cables work. But I'm really hopeful that somebody on our new wonderful tech support team over at Warcraft Radio does. So if I'm still stuck, I will get them to do that. I know that person isn't Farseer because he nearly ran away screaming when I mentioned them on Tuesday. Right.
Just before you go on, if people can't message you directly on Twitter, they can also message the Girls Gone WoW Twitter.
Yeah, message the show Twitter. Weird that you can't though. At GGW show on Twitter or message me on Discord. I will double check my Twitter settings. I thought I'd opened up my DMs. I will do that. So message me or at Silky Raven or at GGW show or DM me on Discord. That's the thing. Discord. Fucking hell. Right. We are in the middle of the show, which is where we tell you that we are now a part of Warcraft Radio. You can find our show page and lots of other wonderful, great podcasts, including You Think You Do But You Don't, It's Always Sunny in Stormwind, and Rolling Restart at warcraftradio.com. You can join our live chat room every Sunday at 8 o'clock London time or roughly midday Pacific over at twitch.tv/warcraftradio. If you want to, you can also support Warcraft Radio over on Patreon at patreon.com/warcraftradio. We would also love you to join our personal Discord channel. Go to girlsgonewild.net/Discord to find us. You can watch our casual Wednesday raid nights, random Mythic Plus dungeons, and other stuff that I decide to stream over at twitch.tv/SilkyRaven. You can also come raid with us, you can come Mythic Plus with us, you can come do all kinds of things. So, girlsgonewild.net/Discord, warcraftradio.com. We want to see you.
Well done. That's the first time we've done that. It sounds very good. I like it. So that puts us on to our topic of the week. And Ro is joining us on the show so that we can talk about the state of WoW podcasting. We asked you to tell us about your favourite shows, how you think the scene is doing, and how we might make things even better. Ro, as the person with their finger on the pulse of all of the Warcraft radios, if I've got a question or a thought about any WoW podcast, I'd be like, Ro will know, it'll be fine. What do you think about the podcast scene at the moment?
So we're kind of in this time where one expansion has more or less come to an end. We have the other expansion on the horizon. So what a lot of podcasts are kind of living or dying on right now is that drip feed of news, right? When more Shadowlands news comes in, podcasts are jumping on it like I can't think of a proper metaphor here. But it's basically Shadowlands news kind of feeds podcasting right now for the most part. There's some shows that don't rely on news don't have to worry about that, like this one, which is great. But
Yes,
I've noticed
that's
that
110% intentional. Yes, we don't rely
and
on
it works. It works. So honestly, if you have a podcast that relies on news, this is a really tricky and difficult time because on any given week, you may just have a week where there's nothing new to talk about. So you got to just talk about, the stuff that you did. I've seen some shows from, or rather, I've seen some weeks from long-running podcasts where they have literally skipped recording an episode of their show. And these are podcasts that, to the best of my knowledge, we're recording every week, like forever and ever, and they would take a week off and they just stream gameplay because, well, there really wasn't too much to talk about in terms of news and stuff. And there's nothing wrong about that. But yeah, it's kind of the ebb and flow of podcasting with WoW this during this time in the cycle where some podcasts decide to scale back a little bit. Instead of being every week, maybe they're more like every other week or every third week or stuff like that. Just to remind people that they're there, but they don't always have a whole lot to talk about every single week. The number of WoW podcasts has gone down a little bit, but there have been some newcomers as well. I mean, since the last time that I talked with you guys about this stuff, some really big names in terms of like WoW podcasting are just not a thing anymore. Convert to Raid is not a thing anymore. It's on a hiatus. It may come back eventually in some form, but it's basically on an indefinite hiatus. Lagging Balls is not a thing anymore because this got a job at Blizzard. It's kind of why Convert to Raid ended up going on hiatus too. But you have a few of the bigger podcasts are no longer a thing. I mean, you think about where WoW podcasts were just a year ago, and there's so many big shows that just aren't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So now you have, with some of those shows now kind of faded into the background, you see other shows are kind of picking up more momentum. Of course, Warcraft Radio continues to grow on the podcasting side and it has now teamed up with a few podcasts like Sunny and Stormwind with you folks. Of course, the shows that I'm doing. There may or may not be an announcement of another show or two down the line, which I can't necessarily confirm or deny soon-ish. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, keep your eye on warcraftradio.com.
Yes.
That's all we're saying.
Watch warcraftradio.com. Check out the Warcraft Radio Twitter because there may be things to talk about soon. But yeah, so things are going good there with Warcraft Radio. But there's some great content out there. Not too long ago, Azeroth Public Radio put out its second episode, which may seem weird, but Azeroth Public Radio is this amazing project put together by Coltrane and Shoe Boots.
It was good.
It's great. If you are looking for something entertaining to pass a couple of hours of just doing something in Warcraft, listen to Azeroth Public Radio. Listen to both episodes, especially if you haven't listened to the first one before. It's just a whole lot of just wholesome, wacky, great WoW entertainment. Shows that I've been listening to right now, along with you guys. I listen to Dungeon Fables with Allie. I also listen to her on All Things Azeroth. I've been listening to shows like the Half Hill Report. I also listen to Morley. Yep. I listen to Morley Gray, Unshackled Fury, Whispers of War with our friend Syl over there. And there's so many more too. I mean, even though the amount of WoW podcasting has gone down considerably compared to where we were at, say, the launch of BFA, and the total number of shows has kind of dropped somewhat, there is still so many people putting out content out there that you're likely to find something that is along what you're looking for. As always, kind of my favorite show for WoW podcasting, and the show that I kind of model Rolling Restart on, Azeroth Roundtable. There is not a week that goes by that I don't listen to that show. That's my personal favorite, but your personal favorite WoW podcast may be one of like 30 or 40 other options out there. And one cool thing about warcraftradio.com is that's where you can go to find that podcast directory that I used to have on the Realm Maintenance site. I've moved it over to warcraftradio.com. So you just go there, you click on podcast directory, and you'll see plenty of choices to choose from.
Awesome. Raven, do you have anybody new that you're listening to at the moment?
No, I mean I've started branching out a little bit from WoW podcasts, really. I mean I'm still listening to, who am I listening to? I'm not listening to as big a list as I used to. Oh, my Twitter DMs have suddenly gone mad. That's weird.
I wonder why.
Obviously, I listen to Lore Watch and Blizzard Watch. Still listen to The Instance. I'm still very fond of World of Warcraft. I know maybe slightly fewer people listen to that these days. I don't know, but World of Warcraft I listen to. But I've got, and obviously I listen to your shows, Ro. But I've picked up a lot of, what I've picked up a lot is Dungeons and Dragons podcast. So
yes.
Which seems to be a huge thing at the moment. Like all of a sudden, like they seem to be everywhere, and I think it's one of the side effects of like what's going on everywhere at the moment is people are like, fantasy. I'd like some lovely fantasy to deal with, please.
Well, I mean, it kind of started a little bit with There Will Be Dungeons, which is the Scott Johnson one.
It's great.
Which is great, yeah. However, it was a short jump from there to the Adventure Zone. And the Adventure Zone is just my favourite thing. And they're on their third season now. Like, the Adventure Zone's balance, I know I've mentioned this before. When I was listening to it, I mentioned it nearly every single week. If you've not listened to Balance and you like D&D, please listen to Balance. It's fucking amazing. They're on a thing called Graduation at the moment, which is hilarious. There's this, this Justin Furbolg. It's just incredible. It's a really good character. I also listen to One Shot. I know I've talked about One Shot here before. I know we're supposed to be talking about Warcraft podcast, but I'm going to talk about D&D podcast for a minute.
EJ talks about Animal Crossing, so
yeah, exactly. It's like sticking to the fucking point has never been our strong point.
Welcome to Girls Gone WoW. This is what you do.
Exactly. Tangent. So the other thing I listen to a lot is a thing called One Shot, which I really like. So it's short one shots. So it's an hour's show every week, but it might be that it's like a game that's split up into 3 or 4 episodes. Sometimes they're only 1 episodes, but yeah, it's an hour every week. And they're just doing like single one-shot D&D, not necessarily D&D, sorry, but like tabletop things. The great thing about One Shot is they are huge advocates of the trans, queer, people of color. Like they really, really try really hard to represent minority voices in gaming. So there's always loads of really interesting games with really interesting premises, and the one at the moment is one that is after my own heart. So the one I've got keyed up to listen to, I'm a little bit behind, but it's called Visigoths versus Molgoths. And it's basically like actual like Visigoths versus like Hot Topic. It's amazing. It's pretty good. So I listen to One Shot a lot. I have listened to some +5 to Hit. My podcast rotations have taken a little bit of a kind of like. I'm not commuting anymore. I used to listen to podcasts when I was commuting. I am no longer commuting. My commute is from sort of just through that doorway and around that corner to here. So
it's a long commute.
It's a long commute. There's a non-zero chance you might fall over a cat on the way in. Yeah, it's terrible. But it means my podcast listening time is suddenly like this big, which is a bit of a problem. In all honesty. So I listen to other political podcasts as well. If anybody's interested in UK political podcasts from a sort of left-leaning perspective, message me. I'll give you some hints. But yeah, so I'm struggling to fit everything into my rotation at the moment. But I do I have listened to the first 8 or 10 plus 5 to hit, and I'm really enjoying them. So I need to hook that in somewhere. And then I listen to some horse stuff. I've discovered horse podcasts.
Well, you make a good point there. I think you won't be the only person who has used normally, what is normal anymore? Who
The
used
fuck
to
is
use
normal?
who
Yeah.
used to use their commuting time as their podcast time.
Right.
Because obviously I have to drive through central London to get to work, which, as you can imagine, is not a delightful thing to do. But it would give me sort of 45 minutes, an hour, depending on where I was going each way, to fit in either audiobooks or podcasts. So actually working out when to fit your podcasts in, your podcast listening in, has been a bit weird.
Yeah.
Chore time, yes, chore time is a good podcast time, and yes, I actually find if I know I've got to go and do something like tedious, like the recycling or something, which involves tearing lots of cardboard up so it fits in a box, I will take my iPad with me so that I can be accompanied while I'm doing a thing. That's definitely a way of doing things.
I will say that I was curious to see if the pandemic would affect things like download numbers, like if more people would be listening, if less people would be listening. And so I kind of just kept a rough eye on my numbers for all my shows. And for the most part, it's relatively unchanged. If anything, there was a slight increase on Rolling Restart, but my other shows didn't really change that much. The D&D podcasts, I think both of those, well, I know about Plus 5. I think Plus 5 went up a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. Feats of Fellowship is just a Twitch stream. But I'd say that all told, I don't think the pandemic has had a very impactful effect on like the grand scheme of, do people listen more? Do they listen less? It's just finding different times to listen now.
Yeah. I mean, there's some podcasts I can listen to whilst I'm working, so I can have the instance on in the background, partly because quite a lot of the instance is about shows games I'm not playing, so I can listen a bit more intensely to the kind of the WoW sections. I very much enjoy listening to those chaps bantering, so that's totally fine. But it's also when they're talking about like Hearthstone or Heroes or Overwatch usually, I can just sort of let it fade into the background whilst I'm doing something. Some of the it depends on the sort of the D&D, the sort of actual play type stuff. There will be dungeons tends to have very long fight scenes. So, in fact, the last fight was like 4 fucking episodes, and they're 2, if not 3-hour episodes. It was about 4. There was a big epic fight. There was about 4 3-hour episodes. It was about 12 hours worth of fighting. And
that sounds like the bit in the book that I don't read.
Yeah, exactly. This is the bit in the book that I don't see. It's not my favourite part of D&D, and I'm aware that most D&D is indeed combat mechanics, but it doesn't mean that I can have it on the background, because I can kind of hear what's going on, but I don't actually need to bother about, and so-and-so rolled a 24. Okay, that means that, I mean, it does occasionally mean you're like, and Nash did what?
Editing, I will say that I've done editing for Plus 5 to hit, and editing a D&D podcast is such a different beast from a WoW podcast, because with rolling and stuff like that, there's a lot of silence and dead time in between rolls and checks and all that. So you have a lot of stuff that you have to cut out of there. Like, we could do a session that lasts 2 hours, and the final version will only be an hour and a half long, because there's just all these gaps that you have to cut out.
Yeah, so it means that if you're listening, you can kind of let it fade to the background a little bit. So the political stuff I tend to have to listen to like whilst I'm having my breakfast, but they tend to be shorter podcasts, so I can do that whilst I'm doing everything else. But it's mostly quite depressing at the moment. I should stop doing it to myself. I do obviously still have to drive out to see Dino, so that's half an hour each way. So I do still have some time in the car. And if I don't go up and see Dino, I go for a walk around Walthamstow, and get cross at other people for not social distancing, and I can put my headphones in whilst I'm doing that. So I do find sometimes, but there are some podcasts, like I won't listen to the Adventure Zone whilst I'm doing anything else. Like driving, like it's made me realize how good cycling, walking and driving are as activities for listening to podcasts, because they're kind of activities that your brain is completely occupied. Like your part of your brain is busy driving your car, and the bit of your brain that's not busy driving your car can listen quite happily to a podcast or riding your bike or walking along the road. But actually, you can give it enough attention, but you can do the other thing without like a problem. So it's quite good. Whereas actually working, most of my work, I'm replying to emails, I'm writing documents, I'm like, you can't write a document whilst you're listening to something else. It's like, there's just not like, it's not really possible. So yeah, it's been interesting realizing where podcasts have fitted in and what I need to do now to kind of keep on top of them.
Right. So let's see what our lovely listeners have said. Duffy says, fairly certain I'm listening to 90% of the WoW podcasts each week, including ones that started as Blizzard focused that branched out into general gaming or geek culture, with a recent expansion into D&D, including a couple of campaigns involving WoW. Most of this content is downloaded to my iPhone via RSS feeds, but a couple require me to sit at home on Wi-Fi and listen to Twitch rebroadcasts for a couple of D&D campaigns involving podcasters I otherwise listen to. I never really got sucked into YouTube, so I miss out on shows that are exclusively hosted there.
Yeah, I don't do the whole YouTube thing, but I know you do, EJ.
I do the YouTube thing. I fell into the YouTube thing a few years ago. And YouTube content creators have really got sort of up to their game during the pandemic to try and produce as much content as they can, because people are not going out. And actually, I've got into, there's a YouTube channel called Outside Xbox, who do gaming reviews and playthroughs, and must be a year or so, maybe even longer now. They all started a D&D campaign with Johnny, the chap from Dicebreaker, which is a YouTube channel devoted to board games, which is great, and showing you different board games and how they're made and how you play them. Which I was like, oh, that's amazing. In fact, I must tell Mrs. Draper about that one. But yes, so they started, and they were all complete novices at D&D. And so I've watched them go from like literally every second holding up their piece of paper and going, I've got, can I do? Oh, I can't. Right, hold on. Where they've developed sort of costumes and backstories, and they've gone from sort of Johnny letting the games master, letting the dungeon master, letting them get away with sort of quite a lot, to now, if it comes out of their mouth before they can go, oh no, he's like, oh, too late, you've said it now. So they're actually having to sort of be more careful so they don't annihilate themselves. And I've loved watching it, but not even a but. Obviously, they've been doing more of those since lockdown's been a thing, but that does mean I need to find 2.5 hours or 2 hours, depending on how long the episodes are, to sit down and concentrate, because actually part of the fun is watching their interaction and their facial expressions. And last week it was all time for them to level up, so they recorded them having the conversations with the DM about deciding what they were going to pick for leveling up, which I thought was really interesting, as something that I never had the opportunity to get into when I was younger. I found it fascinating watching it as a thing. I don't know that YouTube works as well for podcasts as it does for other things. I think I think Twitch is sort of the place where that really works particularly well, because it's nice to see the people interacting with each other and see their expressions and see when people go, oh my goodness. Obviously, the great thing about YouTube for Warcraft content is especially at the moment, is sort of alpha updates. Like, oh, this thing's come. Look at the customizations. Look at this thing we've just seen and the capture. And I think that's where YouTube and Warcraft really work very, very well together.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just has to deal with, how the content creators presenting the content. There's some YouTube content creators that you can take their content like a podcast. I mean, you can go to their content, click on their videos, and you can be off doing some chores or doing something in the room if you're primarily interested in just hearing what they have to say. But if the content they have has a very visual element to it, then of course you're losing some of that if you do that. So it just all depends on the creator, really. I find myself, I wonder if I'm going to disappoint him or upset him by doing this, because I know he spends so much time with post-production and making things look just right. I listen to the weekly reset whenever there's a new episode up from Talius and Nevitel. They do great work with it.
Yeah,
I hardly ever watch the actual video. I will click play and then I'll be off and I'll be listening to it. Now, mind you, sometimes I miss a few clever visual jokes there, and I'll hate myself for that in the morning. But I mean, they both have just great speaking voices, and I can just listen to them while I'm doing dishes or something like that, and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I've never got into the YouTube thing, because there just isn't a space in my life where I can sit down and watch YouTube. Like, if I'm sitting at I do sit at my computer all the time, but I've got TV that I'm watching, so I'll sit on my couch, on my armchair with the cat, watch some TV. If I've got nothing else to be doing, I'm not going to sit here and watch YouTube. It's just kind of doesn't, it's just a thing that doesn't particularly work for my specific life. So I've just never quite got into it, I have to say.
Resto Wolf in the chat says, I listen to a lot of podcast VODs from Twitch since I don't listening to any pre and post shows that they might have and interacting with everyone if I catch it live. YouTube only lets things play in the background if you pay. So that's not great while I'm working.
No.
Yeah, that's fair too.
Yeah, I tend to, because I've got my two screens, I tend to do, apart from the D&D Outside Extra stuff, I tend to play YouTube on my other screen like podcasts. So actually, it'll be playing there, and sometimes I'll glance over, but actually it's usually while I'm doing something like playing WoW or something in the other screen. So I can multitask them there. There's not a lot of them that I go, oh, actually, this one I will make the effort just to be concentrating on the video.
Fair enough. Gus says, I tend to listen to the podcast on my bike ride to and from work, which is 30 minutes each way, which makes Blizzard Watch a usual contender. Sometimes I like to mix a GGW in there when the mood strikes me, but you guys like to talk about ponies and gin a lot. I love those stories. It tends to go way over the hour mark. Yeah, by about 100%. Which makes it sometimes hard to pick up again, especially with 3 days between the listening. I like the stories and questions in the podcast that tell a tale from someone else. It helps get me out of my bubble. I think it's important for the scene to keep that connection, to make sure people remain engaged and involved. I'm not sure you could do things better. Keep positive and open and you will have the earth. Aww. Yep, we're all about the random stories and the connection and the community, but yeah, these days we do not stick to an hour. Like, I'd like to say we stick to an hour. I'd like to say we stick to an hour and a half, but that's actually also a blatant lie.
There is not an episode that I'm on where we don't get close to 2 hours.
To be honest, everything, in fact, the last 3 episodes we've done have been over 2 hours.
There you go.
It's not, 2 hours is beginning to become the standard. Oops.
Yeah, and I mean that works for some people, and some people can, put it down and pick it up later. I've never been overly worried about podcast length for the most part, because I just like there's different tastes for people and different types of content. Some people are going to like those 15-minute podcasts, which are great and stuff out there. You know, you got like your Half Hill Report and stuff like that. And other people just want to have something on the background for 3 hours and they'll listen to a full episode of Critical Role. So, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about like how long a podcast is, because there's going to be someone out there listening to it.
Yeah,
I know
there was
some
a
people-
moment of time in our previous network where we were supposed to stick to a schedule. But they gave up on that quite quickly. Just it's fine. It's fine. Do whatever you want. I've made it clear to Atlas we can't stick to a fucking schedule. So yeah.
You know, some people listen to podcasts on like 1.5 times speed, just because they listen to so many and they want to listen to them all. And I've done that occasionally, and I'm like, oh no, I don't think I can cope with this. I feel like I'm running all the time along with whoever's talking. But I do know that some people do.
It'd be like squeaking along in somebody's ears. That would be bad. I wouldn't recommend that.
Well, at 1.5 speed, you don't necessarily sound higher pitch. You just sound like you're talking really
sound
fast,
like
like a
a
micro
dangerous.
machine person.
But I talk really fast anyway. Like that just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, it makes me a bit stressed. Cheryl says, I've given up almost all the general Blizzard podcasts that were once WoW podcasts. I like to
Aw.
try out new ones because it's a good way to get more voices, but I haven't taken the time to look through those options lately. I think you have to be in the mood for it. I think sometimes I'm just like, I think often it's when my phone wants to do some sort of update or other, and I'm like, oh, it sort of gives me a time to go, right, am I listening to all of these things? Yes or no? Do I want to listen to something else? You know, somebody will say, oh, I've been listening to this, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll go and give that a go.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be featuring each of the podcasts that we are now on a network with, just as our promotion zone for the next 8 weeks or whatever is going to feature each of the new podcasts that we are now co-hosts with, co-siblings with, we now cohabit with. So you'll hear all about those, and most of those are World of Warcraft podcasts. So that'll give you some new options on the Warcraft Radio network. We'll be getting some updates from those people and talking about those things shortly. Kaba says, my favourite WoW podcasts are Girls Gone WoW, Whispers of War, and Azeroth Roundtable. Those are 3 top choices right there.
Oh, yeah.
I also enjoy Ro's guest appearances on various podcasts. He is awesome. I think YouTube has really slowed down podcasting. With shows like Taliesin and Evertel, Bellular, and So Soul Breezy, it's easier to just get current news and thoughts on the game. Plus, there is Twitch and live streaming now, which changes podcast media, in my opinion. Interactions around the game and social media platforms have changed a ton. I think trying to integrate all the various platforms and using them would be cool. I like the YouTubers because it's quick and right now news. I'm just trying to get one of those social media platforms and create content, but it's so difficult to pick a starting point in this day and age with all the choice. Yeah, I think those are really good comments.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it kind of goes back to the whole thing of video kill the radio star and all that stuff. And it's something that I had to wrestle with for a while. It's like, well, with all this streaming and with YouTube and growing and stuff like that, are podcasts going to die because of it? And the answer to that is no, not necessarily, because there's still a time and a place where you just want something in your ears over wanting to have something in front of your eyes too. If you're driving on your commute, you can't exactly be watching a video. You can, but you'd be breaking the law doing so in most cases.
Would be very dangerous, and we don't advocate that at all.
Absolutely don't. But I think it's one of those things where, yeah, there's going to be a wider variety of options for you. Not everyone's going to flock to one thing anymore like they used to, just because there's that variety and so many options. And that's kind of one of the challenging things when you're a content creator is, a lot of content creators aren't necessarily have that mindset of they want to be the biggest thing ever, but still, it's nice to see those numbers, right? It's nice to see that people are watching your stuff. And when the numbers aren't necessarily as high as you might hope they'd want to be, it could be a little challenging. It might hurt. It might get yourself seems like, oh, am I doing something wrong? Usually, you're not doing anything wrong at all. There's just so many other options out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think worrying about the numbers is the way forward. That's what I decided a very long time ago. We have an amazing community. If we miss a week or if we put something out late, I get lots of messages. Well, I get like 5 messages from people going, "Where the fuck's your show gone?" Like, yeah,
I
okay,
will.
I'll be back.
I will say, as far as WoW podcasts go, Girls Gone WoW has one of the most interactive fan bases and listener bases of like any WoW podcast. There are a handful of WoW podcasts out there that have regular listeners contributing with emails and submissions and stuff like that. Your guys' community is one of the strongest out there, so kudos for that.
Yeah. In fact, on that point,
blessed with our community.
Yes, we are blessed with our community. I should probably just give you an advanced warning, community members. Shows will now be appearing on Monday evening and not Monday mornings for reasons.
Technology.
So just chill. So push your little reminders back to Wednesdays to start worrying about whether we've turned up or not. We are here. It'll be fine. But yeah, no, we are absolutely blessed with our community. And like the Discord thing, the Discord thing was a real kind of whim. I can't remember what provoked me to do it.
It's amazing because you did it at sort of time when I was thinking about it. I was like, I should talk to Raven about this. And then you were like, oh, so I've made us a Discord. I was like, oh, blimey, okay. It was like you'd been like you've been in my brain, and I was like, brilliant. That saved me a conversation. Excellent. Well done, Raven.
I'd had a day at work where I was having I had a bit of a whim, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a Discord community. How hard can it be? So and it turns out actually there's some weird stuff around creating Discord communities where actually it is slightly hard because you have to people have to have like an invite to get to your server and stuff, which is a bit like, oh, it's actually not quite as intuitive as it might have been. But it was a complete whim, and actually has been an enormous success. Like I cannot describe how successful the Discord channel has been, which is one of the reasons when we were moving to Warcraft Radio, we're like, yes, we're keeping our Discord channel. Definitely. We are keeping the Discord channel. We are keeping our own Discord channel. We will post on your Discord channel. That's nice. We can talk on we'll have both Discord channels, but we are keeping our community because they are absolutely the middle of what we do. And yeah, they're amazing. Like, and it's like really, really, like, it's just wonderful. And yeah, we get content every week. So the content now comes via Discord mostly than via email, although people do email me still, and sometimes people send us stuff on Twitter, and they send us stuff in other places, as they have always done. And yeah, I do think it makes us just a little bit different compared to what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Well, the chat room's just making me all emotional now, so I'm going to crack on. Frasley says, some of my favourite shows are those that go beyond the news in talking with people, like Whispers of War, Scrubs vs. the World, Girls Gone WoW. I also love the ones like Dungeon Fables and the Half Hill Report that try different things in podcasting. Definitely a place for more podcasts and voices. It's not a competition, and I think we need more cross-pollination of people on other shows. I love talking to other podcasters and being on their shows. It also lets listeners find out about new shows they might not know about. Yes, very, very good points there.
I love that Frasley says we need more cross-pollination of people on other shows, because Frasley is the freaking king of this. He has appeared on more WoW podcasts than I ever have in the 7 years that I've done this.
Yeah.
Frasley is an award or crown or something.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, Frasley is an amazing guy. That's definitely true. And yeah, the podcast on other shows is something that we very much enjoy, and we enjoy interviewing other podcasters. But we really enjoy interviewing just like random members of the community as well. So we'll have everybody over here, all tastes catered to. Kaz says, when I switched to a job where I can't listen to podcasts and audiobooks 40 hours a week, I had to seriously cut back on podcasts I attempted to keep up with. WoW related, it's down to y'all and Blizzard Watch at this point. I really try to catch you on Sunday afternoons when I can, so I don't need to find a time to listen later. Though this week I will be moving more stuff instead. Oh, but we're very pleased that you found a lovely new house.
Yes.
And yeah, I hope that's going well. Moving's shite.
Yes. And you know where to find us. You do.
You know where to find us. Definitely.
Sphericon Rex says, my two go-to WoW podcasts are Girl Gone WoW and The Starting Zone. I like both for different reasons. I enjoy the community feel of Girls Gone WoW and hearing about everybody's exploits. Can't get that anywhere else. I like The Starting Zone because it's a known...
Oh. Uh-oh. Okay. So, this is alarming. I can't hear EJ anymore.
I can't either, and she went all blurry. So
yeah. So this is alarming. Wonderful. I think EJ's internet might just have died. That's. I mean, fucking welcome to. Whoa. Hello. Hello.
Again, technology.
We're just plagued by technology today. I will note, whilst we're having this little technical interlude, that Salmes in the chat room says there should be a podcast achievement, Frazzled, having featured Frazzly in one of your podcasts.
That's great. And I think that is required for all WoW podcasts.
Yes, I think so.
I mean, I will say, as we're waiting for EJ to get back really quick.
The internet will return, yes.
The Starting Zone, I agree that the Starting Zone is an amazing podcast as far as like, if you are looking for news, if you're looking for ways to improve your game, Sphericon says it's a no-nonsense look at WoW. I totally agree. And the Starting Zone, if someone's looking, like, if someone hasn't really done a whole lot of searching into WoW podcasts and they're looking for one to listen to, I'd say, if you want a podcast about news and possibly improving your game and learning how to just get more out of your WoW experience, the Starting Zone is a great place to start.
Yes, I agree with that. EJ, you just completely DC'd in a hilarious fashion. Like Smokey walked across in front of you and we saw a cat tail and then you stopped. You were somewhere in the middle of Spherecon's update.
So you missed my...
Did you do something hilarious?
No, I said hello to Smokey. But what I was saying, and then I looked up and I was like, my screen gone black.
Yeah, you completely decided. So I think you stopped talking around the other podcasts I enjoy are.
Would you like me to continue, or did you finish it up?
Well, no, we didn't finish it. We were waiting very politely, like
we bought
good,
time.
Polite people, for you to get back, and we were talking about Starting Zone. But you can finish the reading if you would like.
All right. So, other podcasts I enjoy are Convoke to Raid and For Azeroth. They don't put out content consistently, though, so they're hard to follow. The very first WoW podcast I listened to was The Instance. I really liked them, but stopped listening a few months ago because the show took on a negative vibe, in my opinion. I also listen to podcasts on my commute, but I have not been commuting since the end of March. Girls Gone WoW is the only one I make an effort outside of commuting to listen to.
Oh, bless you, Sphericon Rex.
I also think that The Instance is quite a lot of people's first foray. It was certainly my first foray into work. Podcast.
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people have joined the podcasting scene through The Instance over the years. I think it the problem I have with The Instance sometimes is they don't talk about WoW all that much, but I don't. For me, it's not been too negative.
I wouldn't even say it's negative. I'd say it's just they tend to be more critical, but I don't necessarily equal being critical of decisions and choices with being negative about them. That's the thing.
No, but I do. I mean, I think there's been a lot of stuff recently that certainly provoked some discussion.
Sure.
So I think that's probably fair. But
and I've certainly heard from many people over the years that actually the thing that stops them listening is when they're listening to this is not just about Warcraft, but they're listening to podcasts about an topic, and every week you start, it's like, oh well, I'm not playing that, I'm not doing that, I don't do that, Obviously, we try and be very team positive around here, which doesn't mean that we don't criticise things, because we do, and if we don't like a thing. But we do try and find the positive in what's going on, and even when we don't like something, we can normally find some positive to come out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that we have just a out and out rant about things, although it does occasionally happen. Very occasionally.
And usually when you rant, it's not about something to do with WoW.
No, usually I can rant about all kinds of shit, but usually it's some IRL situation. Marie says, I used to listen to quite a few WoW podcasts, but as my time has changed, I've incorporated more podcasts on other diverse interests, such as linguistics, history, paleontology, genetics, and more. I've dropped some of the more peripheral WoW shows. The ones that have stood the test of flagging time and flitting interests are Girls Gone WoW, obviously, Blizzard Watch, Lore Watch, and Azeroth Roundtable. I love shows that deal with more than the news. GGW is like chatting with friends in the pub, as is Azeroth Roundtable, albeit in a different way. It's nice to listen to shows where I can see myself in one or more of the hosts, which for me would be Raven and John from Azeroth Roundtable. I have been a long-time patron of Blizzard Watch, chat with many of the writers and editors on Twitter, and have even met many of them at BlizzCon, so I feel a personal connection with those podcasts as well. None of these podcasts belittle the WoW devs. They don't whine about things. They produce regular shows with fairly good audio quality. That's us. Fairly good audio quality. In the end, though, it's all about the host and my connection with them. It's the people, just like in WoW. Yeah, I think all that's fair. Trey's week. I put Trey's week in WoW in completely the wrong place. Oh no, he didn't do it. No, it's a topic. Oh, I'm going to shut up now.
So our final submission on this topic came from Trey, and Trey says, "We are still here. Haven't been killed by the Rona, murder hornets, or riots yet." Yes, murder hornets have been a thing. I forgot about the murder hornets being a thing.
There was a brief murder hornet episode. People seem to have shut up about the murder hornets, possibly because other things have taken over. I don't understand what's happened with the murder hornets.
They're probably still out there being murder hornets.
Yeah, exactly. I imagine they're still there. It's just that other things seem more important. But yeah.
Please send helpful thoughts for Faye's grandmother. She lost her husband in April and now has the virus.
No.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's awful. Yes, much love in that direction.
Yeah.
On a more positive note, notice way to go on the platform an intro change. So I'll miss my dose of Raven cussing every week. Sorry, just listen to the show.
You got plenty of it today.
Should be plenty in the show. Don't worry.
It just won't be in the intro. It's okay. It's fine.
Podcasts have really exploded over the past 15 years of Warcraft. I remember listening to The Instance, Blue Please, Octel, and Hordak, and Gnomewise and his family. Faye and I used to send each other cute little notes through Gnomewise's podcast as we were travelling home after seeing each other while dating. Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
So cute.
I sometimes wonder what happened to all the old podcast shows I used to listen to, where we can find them. Could there be some sort of Blizzard stash of Warcraft podcasts to show how much Warcraft has helped develop the podcast community? The only thing I think you guys could do better is make sure the guest sound levels is the same as yours. Sometimes the guest is loud, sometimes they're really quiet. Maybe that's just something that's done in the pre-show and I just miss it. Glad to hear from you guys every week and love to you both.
So I have an answer for you.
Okay.
As far as this goes, as far as a Blizzard stash of Warcraft podcasts, as far as Warcraft Radio goes, if you go to warcraftradio.com and you click on shows at the top, you'll see right at the top of the page, it says Warcraft Radio shows, all podcast documentary features, blah, blah, blah. And it'll say, please click here for our classic archives. So if you want to relive the older days of WoW Radio, click there, and there are tons of old podcast episodes from those years, from the days of WoW Radio. Highly recommend checking it out. I actually did that not too long ago, and some pretty cool blasts from the past back there.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing the next couple of weeks. That's awesome.
Yes, that is pretty awesome. On the technical front, the problem I have is that EJ and the guest come through the same thing into my computer, so I have to get the guest to alter their own voice levels, which isn't always possible. So yeah, this is the sort of the one downside of taking on anybody and everybody onto the show is that we're obviously using relatively professional podcast equipment, not professional, but I'm sitting here with my AT 2020. EJ's got her her Yeti, not Yeti, is it a Yeti?
It is a Yeti, yeah.
It's a Yeti. And so obviously we're very happy to interview everybody, but if they're turning up with a headset or with a boom mic, as is just walking across EJ's table, it's the cat, then that can be a bit of a challenge. We do try to get it sorted out in the pre-show, but we don't always manage. And then I try to sort it out in post, but again, it's not always possible. Hello, Smokey. Oh, there's a Smokey cat.
And he's off. There we go.
Cool.
So, did anybody else have anything to say about Wowcraft podcasting at the moment?
I mean, just kind of reiterate my point from the beginning is while it's kind of a lull time in between expansions, there's definitely not a lull of content out there. There's some great resources to find links to podcasts you're looking for. Shameless plug for the podcast directory on warcraftradio.com. I mean,
absolutely.
I spend an hour and change every Sunday or early Monday putting up a weekly podcast roundup of all the shows that have put out an episode of the past week. So if you're just looking for something new, or if you're wondering, hey, has this podcast posted an episode recently because I haven't heard from them in a few weeks, check that out. But yeah, Warcraft podcasting, it is astounding, really, to think that this game, which has gone on for 16 years now, still has well over 36 podcasts covering the game. No other game in the history of gaming has had, technically Dungeons and Dragons, you could say, probably qualifies, but in terms of video gaming, no other game has had this much podcast support.
Absolutely. I think it's still a very thriving community, and I think maybe there's slightly more interest in it now than there has been for a while. So,
sure.
I think podcasts have become sort of mainstream cool again. I've noticed sort of in the last sort of 6 to 8 months, like everyone started talking about podcasts again. So I'm very much hoping that swings into people joining our community more.
Yeah, it does seem to be swinging back round. So lots of the political stuff I've been listening to has all got podcasts attached to it. I mean, the horse, there didn't used to be horse podcasts. I can listen to a horse podcast that's specifically about positive reinforcement training. That's
blimey.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's quite specialist shit. So I do think it's swinging back around, which is good to know.
It's not a useful place to sit and clean your foot, Kat. Right, so just one general tweet this week. Marie says, in response to our lovely flashy new intro, I love that intro, though I do wish there were pictures of Raven and EJ framed like the pictures of the WoW queens, along with iconic quotes. Thank you for your feedback. If anybody else has got any more feedback, do let us know.
We'll pass it all along to people who are technically much more competent than we are. It'll be amazing.
Definitely. Ro, thank you so much for joining us on the show this week, our first as part of Warcraft Radio. Can you let our lovely listeners know where they can find you?
Absolutely. So social media wise, I primarily use Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Brian Podcaster. And again, the shows I'm involved with, I'll do D&D ones first because why not? +5 to hit at Feats of Fellowship. Feats of Fellowship is a Twitch stream, which you can find every other Tuesday on twitch.tv/Spazbot Studios. +5 to hit you can find on any major podcast app. As far as the WoW stuff goes, I do Rolling Restart, which is specifically for World of Warcraft. That's posted every other week. Realm Maintenance is a monthly show which recaps podcasting for Blizzard games. Next episode of that literally coming up in a number of hours. After this show, I'll be working on putting that together, so you'll find out that Girls Gone WoW joined Warcraft Radio. How about that? And you can find the weekly podcast roundup, all the shows that I do, along with Girls Gone WoW and a whole bunch of other stuff at warcraftradio.com. And if you want to follow any of the stuff I do, again, follow at Brian Podcaster, and there's Twitter links to all that stuff over there. So that's the best way to find me.
Awesome.
And thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure being on with you too.
Anytime.
Thank you. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please do let us know. We would love to have you. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Twitter at GDW Show, at totally_EJ, or at Silky Raven. Or you can email us, ej@girlsgonewow.net, raven@girlsgonewow.net.
Next week, Sphericon Rax is joining us and says, help me stop being a clicker. How do you play Warcraft, and what tips and tricks do you have for those of us who want to stop clicking and use our keyboards a bit more? So a bit of an advice special next week.
So is there anything wrong with being a clicker?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. There we go.
Oh man, that's taboo.
Just to put the cat among the pigeons there.
Oh, yikes, controversial. Controversial.
Well, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in a week's time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Hi, I've stopped the recording. Chat room, tell us what you liked and what you didn't like. I really need to pee. Back in a minute.
How do I stop being a keyboard user and use my mouse? Oh, I think however you choose to play the game and whatever works for you is what works for you. But obviously, if you would like to change, then let's get some advice. I found one of the things I did recently, I will say this again next week in the actual show, but I found actually binding my interrupt to my mouse key, one of my mouse buttons, was so much better. That really changed things up for me.
There's a podcast that I didn't bring up during the show, but one that was fairly instrumental in getting me to stop being a clicker, and that was the Training Dummies.
Dummies, yes.
Yeah, they had a couple of episodes specifically focused on macros and things you could do to stop being a clicker. And I would say if it was not for that show, I would probably still be a clicker. So props to them.
Oh. So we've got Phil, Schuster Phil or something. Raven needs to come back and finish the show 10 minutes early. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. We're 10 minutes short.
We went. Yeah, that's true. We went short. We did not hit 2 hours. It's amazing.
It's probably because I really needed to pee. Thank you very much. I would have interjected with some other kind of like story, I'm sure. Thank you very much, chat room. If you have any comments or feedback about how anything sounded or how anything worked or how anything looked, then do let me know. Don't forget, chat room, to send me your message with your technology if you want to win them out. And yeah, we love your feedback on our nice professional thing.
And hopefully Smokey hasn't interrupted too much.
No, Smokey's been fine. Smokey's been fine. Smokey's had his... So Smokey's been broken into the Warcraft Radio thing. Caprica's been broken in. We're all fine. We're all fine. Awesome. I'm glad you loved the overlay. Yeah, the overlay is a thing. Right. Yes, intro sound. I need to fix the intro sound. Right. Yes, good. Okay.
I'd say for our first episode on WoW Radio, on Warcraft Radio, it worked fine.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously it'll sound better in post anyway because it's going to go through Auphonic, if nothing else. Right. Chat room, I'm going to stop the stream. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone who joined us. Thank you.
You're amazing, and we will speak to you soon. Bye.